Welcome to Clone Questions Live with me, Paul, your clone coach. Episode 13 of Clone Questions Live. We are live every Friday, 5:30 Pacific Standard Time, live on my Instagram. So if you're watching this on a rerun on YouTube, you got to join me on Instagram to join the live chat. Join your chance to win a free copy of the Best Mother Plants SOP that we do as a giveaway every single episode. In this episode, I want to touch on the 3 reasons why you should start a nursery. The 3 biggest reasons why you should start a nursery. We're going to hit on that this episode along with all the other questions or any of the other questions that come along during the chat. And if you're just watching this on Instagram, if you're just joining us, let us know where you're joining in from. As always, we got Bozeman, Montana already in the house. And if you have any questions, you could request to join live on here if you want to join the live chat. Instead of that call-in feature, which I think would be really cool, just so we get a little bit more one-on-one here in the chat. But bear with me one second. I got to get some notes here written down. Copy this. Copy. And I'm back. Sorry, guys. I just had to see here. I'm going to pin this comment. If you're just joining, make sure to read that comment there, that pinned comment that I have on there. Grow Michigan, how are you? Thanks for joining again. Thanks for the support. We got New York in the house, Oakland, and our first question here from Hando2255. Let's see, our first question for Clone Questions Live, episode 13, with me, Paul, your clone coach. Let's see what we got here. I'm getting white powder where I lollipop my plants. Any ideas? It's not PM, more like a soft callus. A white powder where you lollipop your plants. Are you talking just like where you're cleaning up your stems and those open wounds? You're getting a white powder. What's going on? What are you spraying around that bottom? Is it growth? I mean, a picture would do a lot better. I think you're saying it's not PM. More like a soft callus. Interesting. I'm not sure what you're experiencing there, Hando. Maybe elaborate a bit more if you could. We got Caribou Maine from Cyclone Cannabis Co. If you're just joining us, let us know where you're joining in from in the chat. If you have a question, throw it in the chat. If you want to do it even better, request to join the live and ask your questions live with everybody else so we can have a little one-on-one discussion here. Let's see. Impact Zone 99 says, if I'm trying to clone with aeroponic, I have a humidifier, water chiller on point, but plants still fading. How important is the lighting? Dominica. The lighting's important, but you know, if you have moderate LED light hovering around 150 PPFD, your lighting is not the issue. If you're getting roots on your aeroponic clones, then your timer of your on and off of your spray jets is probably on point if you're getting rooting. If your plants are fading during this rooting process, then you want to adjust that nutrient solution that you have in that reservoir. Because there's only so much nutrients in that plant. It uses up quite a bit when it goes through the rooting process. So if we don't have enough to not reimburse, but acclimate a bit more, build up that nutrient level in those plants, you are going to get some fade, some color fade on the plants. So if everything else is on point and you're just experiencing some yellowing there, impact zone, look into your nutrient concentrations. Let's see here. We got Argentina from Fancor Ivory. I'm not going to try to pronounce this name, but welcome. Thank you for joining. Let's see here. Got another question in here from J-Man in the middle, 420 says, how deep do you plant the cutting in soil? So if it's just a cutting, and whether it's soil or a plug or any sort of rooting media, Rockwell, Oasis, what have you, it ends up being about an inch into the media is where you want to plug your cutting in, about an inch. With the pre-made holes, the top half of the inch is usually open and wider, and the bottom half of that pre-made hole is usually a little bit smaller. So that's like your resistance. So you hit the tip of the stem to that, and you go in about 1/2 inch, and that should, you know, keep your clone sturdy enough, be it soil or any other cloning media. Hando225 says, my guess was stagnant air. Yeah, well, you don't want stagnant, humid air building up with no exchange happening for days on end. You don't want that, because you are going to experience some die-off in your nodes, some yellowing, some stem rot, things like that. So if you already know you're trapping humid air for days on end, then you want to get that taken care of. Let's see what else we got here. But as a reminder for everybody that's in the live, in the chat, we're gonna dive into the 3 reasons why you should open a nursery, and they're pretty solid reasons. They're the real reasons why I started a nursery years ago when I first started cultivating. When I first wanted to cultivate, I struggled. I got stuck when I got to the point of trying to find a nursery stock to populate my room, to get, you know, to fill up my crop. And that kind of triggered the inspiration to be the one to provide nursery stock on a consistent basis. So, you know, and right now, times are getting kind of tough. The industry's, you know, always adjusting and always, you know, at different points of good and bad. And then the economy itself, you know, people, you know, things are really expensive. Inflation is high and stuff. So, you know, having a small nursery could really help you, you know, on the economic side of things, on the monetary side of things, as a little side hustle. You know, even 1 or 2 mother lights could make a huge difference, you know, to help you out revenue-wise in your life. So stick around. We're going to dive into the 3 main reasons why you should start a nursery here shortly, after we catch up on some questions here. Let's see here. Got another question that popped in. Triconic says, what do you recommend for PM on clones? So PM on clones or vegetative stock, either one. It's assuming the environmentals and all the other procedures are in check, but like, what products do you want to apply to your plants to get rid of PM? You're going to want to rotate a few different things, but you could start off with chemical fungicides, be it, you know, Xylitol 2.0, some citric acid type of product, some, you know, general 3-part, you know, miticide, fungicide, insecticide type of products, to really get that initial kind of wash out. You're going to want to follow that up with biofungicides, things like Regalia, things like Cease, Actinovate, WP, that you could apply more often, and it could create that healthier and healthier environment for, you know, bio defenses to you know, help you with the PM. Internally of the plant, feeding the plant, you want to make sure that this plant has all the ability to be as healthy as possible, be in the environment, the lighting, the growth, the nutrient levels, the calcium levels. You probably want to add some silica in there to strengthen up the cell walls. Some more calcium to strengthen up the cell walls and fill those cell walls more with calcium. So when the hyphae of the powdery mildew tries to tap into your cell walls to get that moisture to give it to the spore for that spore to, you know, populate, if it runs into more calcium, there's less moisture there, and that the hyphae will dry out. So to really attack it from internal, you want to ensure really optimum health or really optimum nutrient uptake on your plants, and increase your calcium and silica applications. Make sure the cell walls are full and solid. And on the exterior, rotate, you know, chemical fungicides like Xylitol 2.0, like some citric acid, like some what is it? Something bicarbonate, sodium bicarbonate, any of those high pH type of fungicides, and then follow that up with a rotation of biofungicides. That should be, you know, good rotation to get you taken care of. Let's see here. Make sure I don't miss any. Make sure I don't miss anything in the chat here. Scrolling through. If you're just joining, let us know where you're joining in from. Let us know in the chat here. Let's see here. J-Man in the middle says, Dr. Zymes is organic, so is Trifecta. I don't... Those Dr. Zymes and those enzyme products, I've never seen them really be effective as far as like a treatment dose. Preventative dose, when there's nothing there and you're spraying and it's a preventative, sure, but it really hasn't been tested. Or it's not really being tested if there's no pressure there for it to try to, kill. If you do have powdery mildew and you start rotating in Dr. Zymes or something, in my experience, what I've seen, I haven't seen any real results from any sort of elimination. So I think those are meant more for preventative when it doesn't really have to go against anything. But Regalia is great. That's a good biofungicide, like I mentioned. Let's see here. Cyclone Cannabis Co. says, thank you for sharing your info. You're welcome. What was your biggest learning curve to consistently root clones? That's a great question. Let's see here. My biggest learning curve to consistently root clones was getting my dome protocols to where they needed to be. Get them right. When I first started, I was, taking notes on all the protocols I did, all the variables I would do with opening my vents, not opening, when I watered, what I watered, what I sprayed. Once I really dialed in a protocol that works, and that's what's packaged up in my SOPs, and that could get used anywhere and you get the same results anywhere, that was the biggest kind of difference maker. So the biggest learning curve was finding the right protocols for the domes, and understanding what's happening during each stage of rooting, so you could maximize the growth out of each stage. So that's one of my biggest learning curves there. Good question there, Cyclone Cannabis Co. Let's see here. We got Portland, Oregon in the house. Dr. Zymes is just citric acid. Yeah, but I think it's a very low concentration, if I'm not mistaken. But if anybody has something to spark up and wants to join Clone Coach in burning one on this Friday evening, time to light up. We're about to get into the 3 reasons why I think you should open up a nursery as a little side business or even a big business. I actually started my nursery in this room that I'm in now. This room, when I first moved in here, I gutted this room and I lined up, I checked the powers. If you guys want the story real quick on setting up this room, my first little nursery, I'll give you the quick breakdown here. I measured the room, 10 by 12. I checked the power, the wattage here, the breakers. I had 2 15-amp breakers there, so I knew it could only safely go to 12 amps per breakers. That's about 80% of the load. So I times that by the 120. That's about 1,400 watts per breaker. So I was like, all right, I could do 3 400-watt lights. That's 1,200 watts, and have a little bit of cushion for a fan or something small on that breaker. On the other breaker, I put a small little AC unit and was able to run my lights for my shelves and things like that. So very small inputs as far as like power draw. But first things first, I measured my power, saw my breakers, figured that math out first, so I did not overload the breakers that I had in this room. But I had 3 400-watt metal halide lights against this back wall as my mother's. To my left here, I had a 4x2 shelf where I had my clones, and I had my work area here in the middle. And I just got to work, dude. I just started making it happen. And we'll dive into why I think it's a good thing for you guys to have your own nursery too, because it allowed me to quit my previous career, my previous job. It replaced my salary fairly quickly, and I was like, look, man, if I could make the same amount of money growing cannabis and running a nursery on my terms and have that freedom, I'm doing that more so than having this, career over here with a big conglomerate company and stuff, which had its benefits, got me to where it was. But I made that decision a long time ago, and I've been supporting myself off of clones one way or another ever since, and I won't take it back for anything. Let me catch up on this chat here. We're going to dive into the 3 reasons why you should start a nursery. And if you are going to start a nursery, why my SOPs are the best tool for that nursery. See here, official Too Much Tom says, I just use a tent now for my clones. Domes are too time consuming when I have 2,000 clones. That's fantastic. You can use a tent for your clones, assuming, in my opinion, if they're all the same batch, right? If you have multiple batches in one tent, you're not going to get the best results because they require different parameters at different stages of that rooting process. But, keeping the same batch in one tent, yeah, you could definitely, make that happen. Get a 4x2x6 tent or something and put your 4x2 shelf in there, stack it up with 800 clones, or the Athena VPD dome, similar concept. And trap your humidity that way and burp the tent itself. But a dome doesn't take very long to burp wipe. Get it, wipe it, put it back, 5 seconds. 5 seconds, and it allows you to put your hands on each tray and inspect each tray and stuff as you're going along the process. So, but I hear you. Brian 3301 says, do you make any of your own nutrients or your sugars? No, I don't. But if you do want to make your own hydroponic nutrients, I want to make sure. Science and Hydroponics. Follow at Science and Hydroponics, Daniel. Tell him the Clunk Coach sent you. Check him out on YouTube and stuff. He does a lot of in-depth content on how to make your own hydroponic nutrients, formulating, your own formulations, your own ingredients, all that good stuff. So check out Science and Hydroponics. And FYI, I did an interview with him that I'm going to be dropping here shortly on my YouTube channel. An interview with Daniel from Science and Hydroponics, where we dove into a lot of good stuff. Let's see here. Brian 3301 says, do you follow any of the JADAM stuff? JADAM stuff? No, I don't know what that is. Joe85153 says, I just bought the clones SOP. Excited to try it tomorrow. Hell yeah. Welcome to the team, Joe. I'm glad to have you. Can't wait to see the results that you get. Put it through the ringer. Follow the playbook, follow the plays, and you'll get the results. If anything comes up, any questions, holler at me, reach out, and we'll get you taken care of. Welcome to the team. If you guys are on the fence about, joining the team, there's a discount. There's a big discount right now happening on clonecoach.com. Buy one SOP, you get the second SOP 50% off. So you get the Mother Plan SOP and the Best Clones Ever SOP. Buy one, get one 50% off, which is basically 25% off of both. That's how the math breaks down. But go to clonecoach.com and take advantage of that sale. Ted Pitch says, clones on the same light cycle as mom's, 18 hours, please and thanks. My opinion, my preference, no. I keep my clones at 24 hours, so I maintain a consistent, steady environment in my little microclimate dome or my rooting process. So I don't do 18/6 on my clones. I do 24 hours. Kelly High LA says, if you put clones that have had 23-hour light to 12/12, Cali daylight now, will they bud, or do I need to keep a light on outside in the hoop house? They're probably gonna flower on you. Yeah, they're probably gonna flower on you. So if you don't want them to, keep the light cycle on longer than the 12 hours. Let's see here. Let's see. Scrolling down the chat here, make sure I catch up. Fish Diver says, for how long do you do 24 hours in your domes? The entire rooting process. I do 24-hour lights for the entire rooting process. So let's get into the 3 reasons why you should start a nursery. Reason number 1, there's less competition. There's less quality competition for nurseries than there is for flower. I think that's been true forever. I think that's been true forever. When I started vending clones and calling up dispensaries to try to get vending appointments, when I call and I was, hey, you know, I'm a vendor trying to get an appointment, the response was always like, oh yeah, you know, no, what do you got? Flower? Okay, well, man, you know, if you got flower, you just gotta leave a sample. You know, we'll get buyers next week. We'll get back to you. It was just such a like, dude, they hear it all day. How many vendors are calling them up to try to move some flower? And when I would say, no, I have clones, their whole attitude would change. So what? You have clones? Well, you know, can you bring them by right now? Let's check them out. Yeah, let's see what you got. The attitude changed because nobody was calling dispensaries to vend them clones because the competition wasn't there. There wasn't enough people doing it, and enough people doing it with the purpose of trying to provide clones to other people. So less competition with clones. There's always been less competition, especially if you have quality clones. If you have quality clones, you're on a new level. And if you have quality and consistency, where they could rely on you for consistent production, consistent quality production of clones, batch after batch, then your phone won't stop ringing. I guarantee you. Once people around you catch wind that you have clones and you are consistent and they're quality and they could rely on you, why would they go anywhere else? So, number 1, less competition for clones in most any market. Reason number 1 why you should start your own nursery. Let's see here. Reason number 2, less overhead costs. So even with the equipment build out, with the rooms, you know, with flower, you need to have, you know, ideally multiple rooms. You have a veg, you have a flower, you have a dry room, you have a work room, you have a water room. With veg, you know, the requirements are so low that you could, in theory, do it all in one big room. You know, if you really, really had to, you could do it all in one big room. And your operational costs of that, you know, the ongoing costs of your power is significantly less than flower, because over a 4x4 space, you could comfortably grow mom stock between 350 watts to like 650 watts over that 4x4 space. If you're flowering, you're probably starting at 650 watts, and you're going up from there, from either 720 or even up to 1,000 watts per 4x4. So you're saving about 30 to 40% of power draw on your per light basis right there. You don't need a lot of big trips to the hydro store where you get a bunch of different items, you know, bags, scissors, you know, all the other good stuff. The shopping list for a nursery is really, really simple. It's trays. The domes are reusable. Most of the trays are reusable. The plugs is what you are consumable. The media, the soil is consumable. Some gel, some rooting hormone, you know, some boxes, whatever. That's tape. It's real simple stuff, man. It's real simple stuff. So your shopping list is really, really easy. So your ongoing overhead costs are really low when you're just running a veg room and running a small nursery. Lastly, is better cash flow. Now, I'm not condoning you do any activity. I'm just telling you my experience. So don't try to, you know, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not here to give you legal advice on what to do or what you shouldn't do. I'm just telling you my experience and my opinion here, so we're clear. But it's better cash flow because with clones, you could get on a rotation where you're cloning every week. So every week you have trays coming down. You have trays available every single week. And these things, ideally, you're pre-selling them or they're moving pretty quickly. And if they do sit and you have to transplant them because they didn't move, they become more valuable as teens and as bigger plants. They become more valuable. But when you go to provide them to anybody, it should be, and it always is, cash on delivery, COD. So there's never any terms on live plants. And so you could theoretically be generating revenue that you're collecting on the spot on a weekly basis. Compare that to, flower operations where, you may or may not have to deal with terms. It takes you how many months to really get a finished product from beginning to end, a sellable product. All the variables when you have a big spike in harvest, a big spike in trim. For the nursery, you got your normal nursery maintenance, and then you have your clone days. A little spike of a clone day. Nothing major. So those are 3 big reasons why I think you should start a nursery as a little side hustle, or why I started a nursery as a little side hustle years and years and years ago. And if I would have had these guides that I created now, back then, it would have allowed me to exponentially grow and the overall aspect, eliminating all the losses that I had, eliminating the stressors, eliminating, the learning curves. Reality, right? The learning curves, eliminating all of that. So that's where my SOPs really come into play. Teach you how to grow the mother plants and make the clones on a consistent basis, and you should be off to the races. Whether that's 1 light or 100 lights for mother plants, the information scales. So that's my 2 cents on why I think you should consider grabbing the SOPs to learn a bit more about my nursery experience there. Let's see here. Strong Style Organic says, we don't need newbie growers spreading plant aids. Come correct if you're selling clones, yo. 100%. I agree with you. I'm not advocating for poor operators to spread poor product. I'm advocating for the opposite. I'm advocating for people to get the best knowledge, to make the best product, and provide that on an honest, consistent basis to others. And if they're doing that, then they'll get repeat business from there. And if you're right, on every nursery you should be getting some plant testing done. So if you need plant testing done to ensure you're not spreading any sort of viroids or viruses or any plant pathogens, you can go to myfloradna.com and use discount code CloneCoach for, I think, 15% off your testing services to test your mother plants and make sure you're not spreading anything you don't want to be spreading. Let's see here. Ted Pitch says, moms and clones in the same room but different lights, 18 for moms, 24 clones. Light pollution? Great question, Ted Pitch. There's no issue with having ambient light in the same room where your light cycle is shorter than the others. So if your lights for your moms are off in 18 hours, but your clone lights are going on in the same room for 24, and there's just ambient light in the room, indirect light, it's not light pollution. It's not going to trigger anything negative. This is a vegetative state. In theory, you could have light 24 hours and just stay in a vegetative state. 18 hours is the minimum. There's no light pollution when you have ambient light in a vegetative room for mom stock. There's really no concern there. So maybe one of those myths that have just been around for a little while and like overly protective growers, but I've done it. There is no issue with having ambient clone lights on in the same room as your mother stock. But good question though. I like that, Ted Pitch. Thank you. Let's see here. Scrolling down, trying to catch up on the chat here. We got New Zealand. T-King from New Zealand in the house. He joined live on the chat last time, and I gave him a little gift after the fact for doing so, for being so brave to join us live all the way from New Zealand. Let's see here. Scrolling down the chat, try to catch up, see if you guys got any questions in here. And it doesn't have to be exactly clone related. Nurseries, vegetative stock, operations, sales, side hustle. I think I kind of want to come out with the more side hustle business aspect of a small nursery. What do you guys think? Is that something that you guys would think would benefit, people out there? Kind of how to turn, 6 plants into 60 grand a year or some shit, right? How to turn 12 plants into 12, into 6 figures. Something that tells a story of how you could turn a spare bedroom into full-time salary, basically, on a part-time basis. We're going into tough times. The economy is going into tough times. And, I want to share this knowledge so people have that ability, whether that's a small bedroom, whether that's a single light, whether that's a licensed facility, whether that's a spare room at a licensed facility that's not being utilized that could be turned to a little nursery operation, like I did in 2018 when Prop 64 hit. I joined a licensed operator and in February, and by December I had already sold. I had made the nursery, built it out, grew the plants, cut the clones, marketed, and sold. Made a first legal sale of nursery stock in the licensed market in California in 2018, right around my birthday in December. So in a few short months, we went from a blank room to a fully operational nursery with sales, which was fantastic. It was so fun. So whether it's a small bedroom or whether it's a spare room in a licensed facility, whether it's your entire business model, whether you're doing it now on whatever scale, you want to make sure you're putting out the best possible product for your clients, highly recommend checking out clunkcoach.com. Let's see here. Brian 3301 says, "Oh, for sure." He says, "Brass tacks, bro. People need exacts." Exacts like what? Like dollars per square foot? 'Cause I have that noted here. What kind of revenue with some theoretical numbers you could produce off of some square footage of mother plant canopy? Is that what you mean, Brian? Snappy Wax says, "Hell yeah." Let's see here. Strong Style Organic says, "How would you go about establishing a chain of custody for mother stock you want to acquire?" Big question, but it's going to be an important issue moving forward as this goes more mainstream. Interesting. Let's see here, Strong Style. Thank you for asking that. How would you go about establishing a chain of custody for mother stock you want to acquire? So if I'm a nursery operator and I want to acquire genetics to add to my menu, I'm acquiring mother stock, from another nursery that has done the pheno hunting end of things and or the tissue culture rejuvenation end of things. I think that's where it starts. I think your best bet is a tissue culture kind of chain of custody. And I know Sergio from Cultivated Genetics, shout out to Sergio. He at one point was working on something about the chain of custody for mother stock and genetics and things like that. So I think he's got it a little bit more in depth laid out. That's a very interesting one because you're right. I mean, it's going to be an important issue moving forward, but there's a lot of little nuances that come into play. Because once you acquire it, if you're acquiring mother stock, what are you going to do with it? You're going to produce clone stock from it. So that chain of custody just puts you in line as the next person in line, and whoever you pass it on to continues the chain. I think it's a little bit beyond my skill set of what I've could lay out or envision, but it's a very, very good question. I like where your head's at. Let's see here. TikTok King says, "So you don't need to tip your clones when putting into your propagation dome, starting your babies." You don't need to tip your clones when putting into propagation dome? What do you mean? What do you mean by that? I'm not sure if I understood that properly. Impact Zone 99 says, "Does the water pumps need to be on a timer? And do I need to introduce air stones?" I would not do air stones. In my experience, air stones always fluctuated my pH in my reservoir. That's my experience. Has anybody else experienced that? If you're running an air stone constantly in your reservoir for days on end, that pH fluctuates due to that air stone in that reservoir going on nonstop. Is it just me, or have you experienced that too? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. But yes, the water pumps need to be on a timer. Yes, 100%. If they're on all the time, you won't have as much success as if they were on the timer. So try, 5 on, 5 off, 10 on, 10 off, 15 off, 15 on. Any sort of little ratio like that. Find what works best for you. Let's see here. Rex Mason says, "Thank you. It's a great help. My mind just went into a frenzy on ideas." Elaborate, Rex Mason. What are you talking about? What kind of ideas have we triggered here at this episode 13 of Clunk Questions Live? Let's see here. Catch up on these questions. I appreciate everybody in the chat asking their questions here. And if you haven't, let us know where you're chiming in from. Let us know in the chat. Enter where you're chiming in from. Ted Pitch, third question from Ted Pitch. I appreciate you. Really active in this chat, in this live here. He says, "Do you use LED strip lights, Lux?" I've used them, 100%. I'm always using LED strip lights, 4-foot strip lights in a cool blue spectrum for my clones. So what's ever available in that range is what I'm considering to put on my clones. But yeah, I've definitely used Lux clone lights. Let's see here. Phantom Flowers says, let's see here, one sec. And if you just joined, you missed the meat of this episode here. 3 reasons why I started a nursery. I guess I should rephrase that. 3 reasons why I started a nursery back in the day, which is less competition, less overhead costs, and better margin and cash flow. Let's see here. Phantom Flowers says, "Black slime on top of Rockwell. How do I get rid of it?" You prevent it first of all, right? If we're starting a new batch and you get that in every batch, charge up your cubes with some biofungicides, and during the rooting process daily, I would be spraying a preventative dose of Xylitol 2.0 on your stems and mist the top of your plugs, your Rockwell plugs. Mist that with Xylitol 2.0 as a preventative. Lower the amount of nutrients if you have sometimes if you have too high of nutrients, and the cubes is too wet and you have a lot of light hitting that, you'll get that slime, that black slime. But it's basically really, really thick algae. So the best way to prevent that is to keep things clean and keep the those characteristics that trigger the algae growth away, like excess light, excess nutrients, and excess moisture on those cubes. So prevent as much as you can, and but if you want to get rid of it now as it sits, it's so thick, man, you gotta slice it. You gotta really scrape and slice it off, and then start up your Xylitol 2.0 sprays to keep it at bay. Bay Area 2LA says, "Air stones heat up the water." We got New York in the house. Michigan smoking outdoor Gallic. Let's see here. Sun First Gardens says, "Do you know how clean your start and clone before you sell to someone else to clean from aphids?" Let me read that one more time. "Do you know how clean your start and clone before you sell to someone else to clean from aphids?" I'm sorry, Sun First. Do you mind rephrasing or putting some punctuation in there or something? I'm not sure if I understand what you're trying to ask there, but I appreciate you asking. See here, Fish Diver says, "I do not understand how it's low cost when you run 24 hours on clones and 18 hours in veg." Slower cost because the clones are only 18-watt strip lights. So it's very, very small cost there. And there's less heat from the lights because there's less watts as well. So there's overall less BTUs. So the rest of your equipment is working less too. Your other big power draws like your dehumidifier and your air conditioning unit are not experiencing the daily big swings of the 12-12, and they're not having to deal with working really hard. The more consistent you could keep your equipment running, the more efficient it's going to be. Thus, the more cost savings you're going to have. So, it's an overall, less inputs and costs there, and electricity wise, on the power draw, on the equipment, on the increased efficiency, things like that. Let's see here. And if you have a real simple nursery, man, it's just some mom lights and some LED strip lights. Simple AC. You need a smaller AC. You need a very simple dehu. That's it. Some fans. That's it. Nice and easy, steady, consistent, predictable. Let's see here. Genetic Seekers 1 says, organic compost, feed once a month and let the plant dry out, make her thirsty. Sup, everyone. Yeah, man, organic compost, I'd do it even more often than once a month. Every 2 weeks, easy. Probably every 10 days even. Those microbials only last for so long, depending if there's enough oxygen in that root zone and stuff. But that dry back you mentioned could aid in that. But yeah, man, good tip there. See here, TikTok team says, so when cutting stock from mom, cleaning up cuttings, do you need to tip them out to focus on roots rather than new growth? Bless. Keep not understanding what tip them out means. But if you're cleaning up the cutting, you slice your cutting a 45-degree angle before you plug them. You don't need to slice that bottom of the stem, to plug or to dip and plug. So if you're cleaning up a cutting, you grab your cutting, you clean up the stem, removing nodes and fan leaves for the bottom, like 2/3. The top third, you're going to have your 2 fan leaves and your apical growth, apical meristem growth in the middle. You want to leave that untouched, trim your fan leaves, or just remove one and leave the other one. But either trim them in half or leave one. And then on the bottom of your stem, a 45-degree cut with a clean scalpel. Apply your rooting hormone and go into your cloning media. That's all you got to do. We got Rex Mason from St. Louis. Shane Stanley says, is that Maine, Michigan? Axilla? I don't have my abbreviations right. Strong Style Organics, thanks for participating here. You got another question. Says, what's the best PPFD for clones? I like hovering around 150 PPFD, 120 to 150. I want to do some more trials and test a bit more of the high and low ranges at different points in time to see if there's some ability to improve how we use the light during the rooting process. So I do want to do some more trials. I'm trying to get my R&D nursery back up so I could start doing all these experiments here. But 150 PPFD usually does the trick. Triconic says, less everything on clones. Yep. Fish Diver says, thanks, buddy. Makes sense. Genetic Seekers says, we concentrate on the root system in clones. Yep. What's up, Raider Nation? What's going on? Let's see here. We're getting close to the end here. Wow, that's been a fast Clone Questions Live episode. We usually go for about an hour, but I still got to go through this entire chat and find our winner of the the winner of the Best Mother Plants Ever SOP. Ted Pitch says, what do you suggest? 1 strip per shelf? Please, I appreciate what you're doing. Thanks. 2 strips per shelf is what I recommend. About 6 inches above the dome, 2 4-foot strip lights covering 4 domes, a 4x2 area. Calgary Grows says, by paying attention to your tips, I improved my turnaround time by a couple days and started having roots at day 8. Boom. Boom. I love it. Love it. Calgary Grows, you should consider grabbing the full SOPs just to make sure we're covering every single base for you and making sure we get the best clones ever. But I'm glad to hear you're getting improved turnaround time, shaving days off of your process. I love it. We got Jared from St. Louis. Let's see here. We got Minnesota. What's going on? Fish Diver says, what are you drinking? Just some cranberry juice. Cranberry juice. But yeah, this has been a really good, fun episode. We're on episode 13 of Clunk Questions Live. And if you just joined now, you could always grab the full-length Clunk Questions Live episodes in 2 places. On YouTube or on my Instagram page. There's a little drop down in the series, drop down little tab. And you'll see every single Clunk Questions Live episode that's been filmed live here on Instagram listed there. So if you haven't caught the full episode, if you're just joining right now, you want to catch up on some previous episodes, check them out on YouTube. I'm doing timestamps on every episode so it's easier to navigate through and find the questions that you're looking for. Trying to make it easy for you guys to consume as much of the information as possible that's tangible, that provides real value to you. So I'm trying my best and working on some other things for the Clone Coach business. That clone gel is really at the top of my list here, and thinking of the best strategy to go to market with it. I'm thinking direct to consumer only to start off with, just that, shipping some gel and getting it straight to you guys directly, so I could give you the best possible pricing, saving you as much coin as I can in your rooting hormone purchases. If I go to direct, then I could save off a lot of, a decent amount of money off the normal average price of rooting gel. So I think that's going to be my plan of attack. Sunfirst Garden says, cleaning clones from aphids, do you use a balm or what's best? No bombs in my neck of the woods. You shouldn't be using bombs, and no one's allowed to use them anyways. If you have root aphids on your clones, first things first, get ready for war. Get ready for war. You're not going to be able to let up on these bugs for quite some time. It's not going to be 2-week turnaround. It's not going to be a 3-week, done, and you kick your feet up. You're going to be 4, 5, 6, 8 weeks into this battle to make sure they're fully eliminated. But you're going to, I would recommend a knockdown with Pyganic. So it's a fast-acting, contact-killing insecticide. Once it dries up, the residual in the half-life is almost nil, so it's basically gone. So it has to come in contact. So root drenches and heavy sprays to get a big knockdown on the adult population. And then you're following that up with things like azadirachtin to interrupt their feeding cycle and their molting cycle. You're coming in with Bavaria bassiana to get some natural fungus coating on anything that's moving around to slowly eat those away. You're attacking with some nematodes and some predatory bugs in the soil to eat any larvae or anything that's crawling around. And you keep rotating that, insecticidal soaps to spot, kill, things like that. You don't rotate the pyganic a whole bunch. You want to use that sparingly. But that kind of idea and rotation should address your root aphid issue. But good luck on your war there. See here, we got a request to join from someone. Request to join and ask their question on the live. Let's see here. We got Maine in the house. I accepted your request there, Mike Tyson. Let's see here. We're gonna get down to, if Mike here can't connect, we're gonna get down to the giveaway. But we answered some decent questions this episode. We talked about some of the 3 main reasons why I started a nursery back in the day. We touched on a lot of good stuff. If you haven't caught the full episode, you could always catch the reruns on my YouTube channel, just Clunk Coach on YouTube, and there's timestamps so you could easily navigate through. Let's see here. You can't seem to connect there. If you're just joining, let us know where you're joining in from. You're catching us at the tail end of this episode of Clunk Questions Live. If you want to catch the full episodes, there's 2 places where you can catch them, on YouTube and my Instagram page. Let's see here. Doesn't seem like Mike Tyson could connect. Oh, there we go. We're getting something. Hello, hello? Mike, you there? You're live with Clunk Coach. You're live with Clunk Coach there, Mike. All right. How do I, Sorry, kicking you off there, Mike. That's what happens when we do things live. That's the reality of it. Let's see here. Mr. Papa Giorgio, and I said that correctly because I remember Vegas Vacation, Papa Giorgio, says, I'm getting a hair-like mold, growing on my cubes. It's not something that has happened. What are you doing to prevent any pathogens growing on your cubes? Are you inoculating your cubes with any biofungicides? Are you preventing any pathogen pressure with active sprays during the rooting process? If you're not defending against mold or pathogens, the rooting process and the clones are the ripe environment for those pathogens to thrive. So, get your defenses up, and you should prevent things like that from happening. We got Modesto in the house, New York, Canada. Let's see here. Might have touched join on accident. Maybe. But hey, I think it'd be really cool if more of you guys, are, able to do that. Ask your question that way, so we could have a little, more in depth, quick back and forth, and get your question answered a bit better, I would think. So, we are getting close to the end. So it's time for the giveaway. So no more. You got to enter your guesses prior to this. So if you're here now and you haven't entered your guess, a number between 1 and 420, you got like 30 seconds to do it. Enter it now, because once it's done, I'm going to be scrolling up and away from those new comments, so I won't see it. So now is the time. If you're watching, you're listening, Enter your guesses now. You got like 30 seconds. 5 minutes before, at 6:25, 5 minutes before the show is over is a cutoff time. Moving forward. I see the guesses coming in, so like I said, 30 seconds, about 20 seconds left. Get your guesses in now. Get your guesses in now. We got 2 people saying 369. And if 2 people win, then 2 people win. That's what would happen. Once again, this is for a free copy of the best mother plants ever, SOP from clonecoach.com. Getting your mother plants right is step number 1. This guide is also going to help you produce the maximum amount of clones per square foot for clone production in your nursery. So this mother plant SOP is really the foundation for your mother plants for any sort of nursery production. And pair that with the best clones ever SOP on clonecoach.com, and you got yourselves a nursery that's killing it. So, 10 seconds left. 10 seconds left. 5, 4, what did I skip? 3, 2, and 1. That's it. So a number between 1 and 420, closest without going over. Closest without going over. No more entries. No more entries. Jeep guy, you're the last one. Here we go. You ready? You ready? Closest without going over. Random number. 263. 263. Let's find who got closest without going over. 263. Going to scroll through this chat here. Let's find our winner and or winners. We got 265 as a guess from Kush Farmer. 263 is our winning number. And 265 is the closest so far. Let's keep going. We have a lot more comments to check. But 263 is our random number this episode. I'm going to find... Oh, I'm sorry. 265 is over. What am I thinking? Closest without going over, Paul. So 265 does not count. You went over. 225. 225, okay. Some strong style. Really, a lot of good participation from you, Strong Style, this episode. I appreciate it. 231 beats it. 420, dude. I'm just kind of keeping track who's close here. But 263 is our winning number. Who got closest without going over? Got like 231 right now is the closest without going over. But 263 is our random number. And let me go through all of these comments here. 373, nope. 187, 78, nope. Let's see here. Let's see. Come on, give me some more guesses. 322. Sorry, nope. 322. Let's see here. 44. Nope. 333. Another 333. 360. Nope. 385. Let's see. And whoever wins, I'm going to shoot you a DM with a discount code so you could collect your free copy of the Best Mother Plants SOP. Let me keep going through these guesses. 272. Nope. 140. Nope. Our random number is 263. Wow. I think our winning number is 231. 263 is our random number. 360, 333, 123, 44. Let's see here. 44. 322. Let's see. 78, 187, 373, 324, 324. Let's see here. Who's going to be our winner? 263 is a random number. 305, 119, 231. The 420 dude. The 420 dude's at 231 right now. I think he's in the lead. 225. Nope. 263 is our random number. $78, $369, $176, $362, $280, $265. Close. So Kush Farmer was close, but got over. $4, $316, $123, $416. Yep. 231. 231 won it. The 420 dude with the cool handle, with the cool name, the 420 dude. I don't know if you're still in here, but keep a lookout. I'm going to shoot you a DM with the discount code so you get your free copy of the best mother plants ever. I appreciate you joining this episode of Clunk Questions Live, episode 13 with me, Paul, your clone coach. If you're ready to make the best clones ever and you want expert guidance and step-by-step instructions, there's a buy one, get one half off special going on right now in the SOPs at clonecoach.com. So head on over to clonecoach.com and grab your SOPs today. Join the team. Join the rest of the people that are making the best clones ever all over the world. But Ken, congratulations to the 420 dude. Won with a winning guess of 231 with a random number being 263. I love it. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate you guys. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night. And I'll catch you guys next week. Thank you.